Welcome to my channel, Level Headed with Levi D. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and set the bell notification to all. Please also share this. Let's get into it.
Don't wait up, I've been working hard every day, living dreams for a pay stub, yeah, straight up. 5 years later, like I said, I would make it on my way up. It's all up, coming from the nation, lay the foundation, true stuff, yeah, too tough. We ain't giving up on our dreams, everything is ahead of us. Stay true to your path, it's not where you start, it's all where you're at. It's where you end up when your back's to the mat. Do you cripple or flat or get up off your back? Deliver these facts to see them react. The stadium's packed, they all gonna snap. The motivated attract, the escalated attack, the frustrated hit back. Yeah, we move fast. I wanna change everything. I swear I'll do anything just to get where I wanna be. I won't stop till I'm free. I won't stop till I'm free. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. I won't drop, no. And I won't let go. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. It's automatic, I'm always getting after it. If you ain't working, I don't understand what's happening. It's not enough time just to be imagining. You gotta take some action towards practicing. I know it's not easy, but you gotta get out there. Make your own meaning, can't afford to have doubts. They'll interrupt dreaming, I just wanna look out there. The crowd all screaming. I wanna change everything. I swear I'll do anything just to get where I wanna be. I won't stop till I'm free. I won't stop till I'm free. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. I won't drop, no. And I won't let go. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. I won't drop, no. And I won't let go. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. I won't drop, no. And I won't let go. I won't stop, no. I won't let go. I won't drop, no. And I won't let go.
Hello, we have a special guest today. This is Jenifer. We're going to get to know who she is and what she does. Welcome in as more people will come as we get going here. Let's do this. I'll share the screen. I have pinned to the top of chat here. I'm echoing someplace. Hold on. All right. I have pinned to the top of the chat here Jenifer's website, which is on the screen here. The link to her social media is over here on right up here at the top. Explain to us who you are.
My name is Jenifer Knighton. I am a substance abuse counselor, also DWI-Education and Intervention Instructor, and I'm also an advocate and journalist. I don't have a specific area that I focus in, other than the substance abuse counseling, but in regards to advocacy and stuff, I'm just big on social justice and advocating for victims' rights.
Okay.
And holding people accountable. I like to call people out on their bullshit.
Yeah. Let's see here. I see that you write some articles here on Newsbreak.
Yes.
The Texas Children's Hospital calls Child Protective Services on another Katy woman after teen attempts to take. This was somebody else, right?
That's not related to my child. It is
Okay.
related to somebody else. Yeah.
So you speak up for what's right. This is a great. You took this picture?
No,
No.
I didn't take the picture. I got it off of their site somewhere. Also did some stuff on Megan Walsh and John Walsh, as you can see. John Walsh, if you're born in the 80s, he was really big in the 90s and in 2000. He's the founder of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He was also the host of America's Most Wanted, and he's been accused of having his grandchildren falsely removed from his daughter through Child Protective Services, which I'm becoming a big advocate for families and parents that have been victimized by Child Protective Services.
Which is a good thing. I know you're still working on your website. I know that you've been updating it recently, so yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I've had it up for a while. I'm really more active on social media and on Newsbreak, but I've started to publish some stuff, and I'm also into writing poetry. If you can see that second one, there's a poem that I wrote.
This one?
Yeah. It's actually about self-love.
I see that. What got you into all of this?
What got me into all of this? So as a child, I was a victim of a lot of tragedies, and I was a high school dropout, teen mom. I think I dropped out of school when I was probably 14 years old, and I went back to school, got my high school diploma, and in 2015, I just hit a point in my life where I said, I can't do this anymore. Just living a very unhealthy life, and it wasn't the life that I wanted, and it wasn't the life that I want for my kids. So I went back to school and became a drug counselor, and that is kind of when I learned a lot about myself. I also put myself through treatment for an eating disorder, and started learning a lot about my history and kind of how things in my childhood played a role in how things were turning out in my adulthood. And so I went back to school, and then again became a drug counselor, and I was like, okay, well, the sky's the limits, right? I don't have to stop here. And I got into college, graduated magna cum laude with a bachelor's degree in science from Springfield College. It was the greatest experience for me. I was given an opportunity that I feel I was robbed of as a child. And then after that, I got into grad school, and that's kind of where the advocacy work started. Had a really bad experience with the University of Texas, and we were being taught things that were not being implemented, and it's like this is not okay. Ended up quitting grad school, and I filed a lawsuit against the University of Texas as a pro se litigant. And it wasn't about the outcome, it was about standing up for what was right. And that was kind of the beginning of my advocacy journey. I've worked in mental health and substance abuse. I worked for the Harris Center, which is the mental health authority here in Houston. and I did outreach, worked with the homeless population, and then worked with victims of domestic violence. And yeah, just kind of been thrown into things. And then, I guess with my professional background, I kind of thought like I was immune to a lot of things. And probably about a year ago, I kind of had a really bad experience with Child Protective Services. And, we hear these stories and it's like, I can't believe that that could ever happen to anybody until it really happens to you. And it was a really big eye opener for me. And I think that's kind of what drove me more into like just going really hard at advocacy. Um,
which is very, very interesting how we met. So I'm going to touch on just a little bit of it, and then that's going to be it of that section. So I met Jenifer. Her daughter went missing. I don't know, a couple months ago, or I don't know, 2 months ago.
in May.
In May, I shared her daughter's poster. Had no clue who Jenifer was. Didn't even know it was her sharing her own daughter's poster on Twitter. I just came across it and picked it up, and then started looking into the case. I went and did a live about. There was some articles I read. I had no clue it was Jenifer that was writing them, and started doing a panel, and was inexperienced a little bit at that time, I guess is how I could say. I felt bad. Jenifer came on the panel and I had no clue. I finally put two and two together while I was live with who Jenifer was, with that it was her daughter, and kind of ended my live abruptly because I felt that I was doing something wrong at the time. And that's how we met. We've kind of stayed in touch ever since. And it was quite interesting because that's what made me start digging into who Jenifer is. And I started seeing the picture. I think, if I misspeak, this is the Felicia Johnson case, right? Is what this picture is? Or that's something else?
That's something else. That is actually from a press conference that we did with Brother Quanell X and Andy Kahn from Crime Stoppers in regards to a man that was shot and killed outside of a gas station, or inside of a gas station. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The one below, this is the one that says aired 217. That is actually from a press conference that we did related to Sarah Goodwin. It's an 18-year-old that was she was a victim of trafficking, and she was picked up in Southwest Houston, and she was murdered. And the one below is actually, we were at the courthouse, just kind of protesting the fact that the guy that killed her, they were trying to let him out on bond. And below that, you'll see that's a press conference that Crime Stoppers held, and the family of Delisha Allen. She was killed, and that's her little girl right there. She was shot while attending a prayer vigil, I believe it was, or a funeral. And her killer still remains at large. Below that, you'll see Niecy Hamilton. She is a survivor of trafficking, the one in the blue. And she also is a victim, a survivor of CPS. So, she's come a long way. And then below that, you'll see, not the picture of me, but this is actually Felicia Johnson's. So that's a prayer vigil that we held for Felicia Johnson, and the picture to the far right, that is actually Felicia Johnson's father. And, my heart really goes out to him and to their family, not only for what they went through with their child, but also they were not informed of their loved one. Yes, it is. They were not informed that their loved one was dismembered or any of the details until it actually went public.
Yeah.
So,
So I know that we talk quite a bit. So if there's something that I ask that you don't want to answer, just tell me, as we're always respectful here on my panel, and my chat is as well, and they respect people's boundaries. So would you say that speaking out against the police and other things has hurt, has changed you a little bit in recent personal things that you've had to deal with? I don't know how else to put it into a
I don't
nice.
I don't know if it when you say it's hurt me, like, in this, what, elaborate on that.
Well, so like when it hurts you, or not hurts you, I guess a better word would be is kind of changed your way of thinking, because the right is right and wrong is wrong still.
Mhm.
And even if they're still doing wrong, it doesn't mean to be quiet or anything. You just have to be smarter in how you do stuff, because otherwise a lot of these things, like Felicia Johnson's case hasn't been resolved yet, right?
No, actually the killer is still at large.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
with speaking out against the police, does that help or hurt when when people are still trying to find somebody, or you have a missing loved one go missing? You kind of have to watch the way that you do things. Is that an easier way to put it?
Okay, so I think that every situation is different. Something that I have learned in my personal and professional experience is every case should not be put out in the media. And there are some details that people do not need to know about. And in regards to a missing person, it doesn't, especially a child, it doesn't matter if the child was a runaway. It doesn't matter if the child was thrown in a van and picked up. The child is missing. The person is missing. Um, Putting some things out can not only harm a case, but it can also harm a victim of, if there's victims of, uh, if trafficking is involved, if other criminal activity is involved, it can harm a case, but it can also harm a victim. And I think the issue with the media is, and with all due respect, because every station, every person is not like that, but you know um some people are hesitant to publish stuff because maybe it's not good enough, or it's not, um what would the word be, like, maybe it's not gruesome enough,
Yeah.
and I think that when we focus on things other than the fact that you have a person missing, and I will use my own child, like, my daughter was missing for almost 3 months. The circumstances and what happened with CPS, what happened with law enforcement, you know, the reason that she went missing, like, all of that's irrelevant. The fact is that my kid's still missing. And whether she picked up the phone and called me and said, "I'm alive, I'm okay," it doesn't mean that she's not in danger. And I think that's where there's a lot of misconception. And, you know, people become, I don't know, we just it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare, and I'm not the only one. You know, you see it with missing people all the time, and it's just it's ridiculous.
And just for the viewers that are here, I'm not going to play it here, but there is, um, what do you call it? Was it Fox that did it? Fox News.
Fox 26 interview with Randy Wallace, yes.
Yeah, that she did do, and it was about her own child. And I'm not going to play it here. You guys can all go search her name and look it up. It's not hard to find. And I think the biggest thing is that I mean, there was a lot of wrongdoings in what was going on there, and obviously you can't speak about all of them, but the I guess the biggest thing is that I belong to channel 11. I don't know what channel that is. I don't know what station that is out there, but so I watch them all the time. There is so much other things going on in Texas. Like my news feed is just filled with the channel 11 here on YouTube, and the southwest side of Texas there with shootings and but there was a whole bunch of stuff that's just happened recently. There was like a kidnapping and a whole bunch of stuff that just came out, I think just yesterday. I don't know if you're caught up in all of that, but and that's only what they want to show us, I guess is my point. They're being very cautious, and I think it's a lot worse. I live in Chicago, so there's a lot of things that happen that don't even make the media. And they don't show the worst of the worst. They show like a medium of it. That I guess that's what I kind of wanted to hint on a little bit there is that the last couple days I've been searching like different, I've been looking for press conferences on some different stuff. Well, every single that serial killer that's in California, you go right to that Stockton's Facebook page, the police Facebook page. First thing you say is it says hiring right on the screen, and you're seeing that at a lot more police stations, which they shouldn't have to use as an excuse or anything. But just because there's more crime out there doesn't mean to stop doing what their job is, and that's to serve and protect the community, and they don't always do that. Let's see. We're going to do something fun for a second. You recently shot a gun for the first time.
No, actually, I've been practicing.
You've been practicing.
I went to the gun range by myself for the first time, though. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And loaded a gun by myself.
And that is, just so you guys know, so if you go to her Facebook page here, it's right here. You'll be able to I'm going to leave that as a sneak peek. You have to go and belong to her on, go follow her, give her a like on the page. And I think I liked it, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. I liked it, but go give her a like on the Facebook page and then watch. It's you did a job well done there. I think it's also on here too. Here's her Twitter. So just so you know, this is her Twitter. She does a lot of different stuff on here. Shows a lot of different missing peoples on here. And you can kind of see different stuff that is there anything like that is driving you crazy right now with different things that you posted recently?
Excuse me.
That's the sneak peek.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I think what's driving me crazy is just the amount of corruption in Houston, and the amount of lies that are being told, and lack of accountability. That is what's driving me crazy. Houston is supposed to be, I think we're the fourth largest city. And the I don't know how to say it in a nice way, but Houstonians and even people in the surrounding areas, like, people have just been bullshitted. And Crime Stoppers talks a lot about um like the crime. And I mean, you have people that are like committing murder after murder and they're getting out. And where you just stopped on my Twitter page, and that's not just related to Houston, but the Gandhi King exchange is it was passed into law by the Department of State, and up to $95 million are going to be sent to India over the next 5 years, which, okay, that's fine, right? However, what about Americans that are suffering? Like, what about Americans that need help? Um, Children that need care, that, like, I pay taxes. Like, where's my money going? And I think because the working class, a lot of people don't have time to really study or research. We just look at our elected officials and think that they have our best interest in mind. And in reality, what I've seen a lot of, and without getting too much into politics, because I just, um not a big fan. But what I see a lot of is just, false promises and lies, and all this money that's being spent. And it's like, well, where's the money going? Like, where is our money? Like, you talk about the media and things that are going out in the media, and you know people only see like 0.1% of what's really going on. It, like, Houston crime, I mean, you can be driving in a car and accidentally cut somebody off and get shot and killed.
Yeah, that's the same thing here. That's like one of the biggest problems here is you don't know when you get into your car and head to Chicago. Like, I don't live in Chicago, but with, like, to drive on the expressway is just the average worker. All you have to do is do one wrong thing, like don't use a turn signal, or use your turn signal and get in front of somebody that's having a bad morning, and that's it. And it's sad that it's become that way, but like, we're spending $95 million to send somewhere else, which may need to happen, which is fine. But what are we doing to help benefit ourselves and to help secure our own country and all the crime and all the missing people and our own country's problems?
Absolutely nothing, other than trying to cover it up and say we made changes. You know, I guess the good thing about me, like, I've worked in mental health, I've worked with the homeless population, I've worked with victims of domestic violence, I've worked with victims of trafficking, and I've done a lot of research. Uh, when our mayor, the mayor of Houston, came out and said, there's been a reduction in homelessness. We're doing all these great things for the city, right? And I call bullshit. Why? Because what the mayor did is all the areas where they were counting the homeless population, he went and fenced them up and just, like, threw them out somewhere else. So that's not a reduction in homeless population. That's bullshitting the community. And the same thing with trafficking. You have victims of trafficking that, you have officers that are falsifying documentation, and then you have people that are not even trained to properly investigate and and they've like all these claims of the reduction in sex trafficking. But then you go to Southwest Houston and you drive down Bissonnet on a Friday or Saturday night, and it looks like you're in a drive-through trying to pick up prostitutes.
Yeah. That happened here in Chicago in 2000. I think in 2005 there was so by U.S. Cellular, which is the White Sox park, there was high rises there, which there were several of them. I think there was 5 of them. What they did is the mayor, there was obviously problems there all the time, but it was contained because they were within like just a little section. Well, what they did is they went in and emptied them. They actually paid them money to distributed them throughout the whole city. But what the problem was, it took them, and a group of them would be over here, while another group would live way over here, but they would all come together at some point. And they actually paid them to move, and some of them moved to different states and stuff. And it just spread out instead of having the problem condensed into one area, which was the projects, and they were run by people, and it was very bad. One time I had shown up to there to make a delivery for something. This was a long time ago. And you risk the chance of being shot at. The thing is before it was contained, now they spread it out everywhere. And yes, it wasn't everybody that lived in there, but it still had its problems. But you took those problems and spread it throughout the whole city. And it's just disappointing because it's kind of everywhere here too.
Yeah. And again, going back to, you can't fix a problem if you don't even acknowledge that it exists. And excuse me.
Everybody, she has little ones there with her as well, just so you know. So yeah, we're good. The reason why Jenifer is here with me is she wants to she's advocating, and what is right. Here is if you go to her Twitter page, you can find that little article there. It's above this picture is the one I was telling you about earlier. Go ahead. Are you okay?
All right. Yeah. They said it's, they only have a little bit of time of patience.
Yeah, attention spans.
They're fine now. Yeah.
Yes. Jenifer, go ahead. Continue.
So I was gonna say about the Gandhi King exchange. So what has happened is, you have these groups that, and not saying that it's every group because it's not, but there's some very powerful and wealthy people that came from India, and they spent a lot of money on campaign contributions, and somehow found the whole Gandhi King nonviolence thing to be profitable, and that's where a lot of our resources are going. Here in Houston, there is a $12 million museum that is being built in a low to middle class Black community. And the community lacks resources. So I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but what's going to happen when you throw a $12 million museum into a community? Over time, eventually the people are going to get forced out of their homes.
Yeah, it happened here as well. They started revamping after they tore down the projects. They started revamping the east side of Chicago, and it eventually didn't work. They tore down all these homes that were boarded up, and then like a whole bunch of like doctors and lawyers and stuff started moving into Brand, and they couldn't get the neighborhood turned around fast enough because they kicked all the other people out. That they came back in, and there's actually brand new homes that are empty now over there because of how bad the neighborhoods are. Are you guys? I know Illinois just passed a law that they're letting people out. There's not going to be any. What is it called? It's called no. Either you get let out on your own recognizance, or there's no bail, but there is no money exchanged. You've seen that, right?
PR bond, the PR
Yeah,
bond, yeah.
Is that is this talking about Chicago, or that's in Houston too?
So that's about Houston.
Okay.
Houston and Crime Stoppers does a lot of coverage on that. So in Houston, there's a lot of people that are being let out for free. And we're talking about violent offenders. Something in doing my own research, I have seen that, some judges or some courts, they've actually kind of disposed of court documents and charges, and now we have a reduction in crime, right? Because the evidence was removed. So yeah, Crime Stoppers and Randy Wallace, they're really, they do a lot of coverage on that. And Andy has actually been given the name of he's the axe grinding fearmonger.
This is Andy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he talks a lot about the people that have been murdered by criminals that have been let out on PR bonds. And it's crazy. It's horrific. I mean, like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, how many, like, life is just not worth anything anymore. Not only has a person been killed, but more people are being killed. And it's, who are we defending? We're protecting criminals, not the victims. And yeah, I call it a big shit show in Houston. And it's sad. It's sad and it's unfortunate. I think a lot of people have been put into power that should not be in power.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just in Houston. So, like, let's say that you just want to get out of Houston and I want to move someplace. I think the same problems are at every big city. I don't think that they're just in Houston. So, like, I watch a lot of Ictamel stuff, and he shows like police chases all the time, and those are all in LA. And I've been out to close to LA several times, and it's like when you turn on the TVs there and watch the news, there's police chases all the time by somebody robbing something, or I guess where there's population, there's problems, and you can't get enough staffing. Like if you were to come to Chicago right now, downtown Chicago still has businesses that are boarded up. It looks like a ghost town kind of compared to what it was 6-7 years ago, where people don't even want to be down there, as there's car thieves and they'll hold you up and take your wallet and a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's overpopulation, but
I mean, if people aren't being held accountable, why would they change? Like, if I could go out and rob a store and nothing's going to happen, then what would make me want to change it?
Yeah.
In reality, right? It's like when talk about children, if kids can, if kids do something wrong and there's no discipline, there's no consequences, then what happens? They're going to do it again. And kids turn into adults, and then you have adults that are out, it just, the risky behaviors and the violent behaviors, it doesn't, it rarely decreases unless there's some kind of intervention, which is what the law is supposed to do. That's what law enforcement is supposed to do. The court system, but it's not happening.
Yeah. You're running all the articles.
Yes. And I try to, I try to do a variety of things. I'm actually kind of behind like 7 articles, but I like to not just talk about the bad stuff. I like to talk about people that are doing good things in the world.
They're talking, there's 2 California, there's a California, Cali Dime and a Cali Thunder. They both live in California. They're talking about it up further, about how they have the same problems there. And we're seeing a shift in, so right now you have the serial killer that's going on. There was also a whole family that was kidnapped that made headline news, which ended up having to be in California. The Kylie Rodney case that happened in California. You have a couple other missing people, but it's like, that doesn't mean that there's nothing happening on the East Coast or in the middle of the country. Just right now, all the headline news. So like right now, the phase is over is in the western part of the country right now. And eventually it will make its way back across the country again. So it's kind of interesting. What do you think? Why do you think social media, or not social media? Why do you think big headline news media, it's weird how it makes its wave across the country? Like next week, it could be in Texas.
Yeah, like with Felicia Johnson, it was in Texas, right?
Yeah.
When she went missing. I think a lot of it has to do with ratings. If you want my honest opinion, it has to do with searches, and if it hits one news station, and the more people share, the more ratings, and then everybody kind of piggybacks on. And like you said, it doesn't mean that nothing's happening on the other side of the country, because that's not the truth. These things happen every single day. It's a matter of, is somebody going to actually pick up the story, and is somebody going to run the story?
Yeah.
If you look at the you can actually scroll down to the I think it was probably my first article that I published, all the way to the bottom. Excuse me.
I didn't know you did this.
Yeah. But you could scroll down a little more.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute.
So the 7-year-old child that was the 7-year-old child that was attacked by a teacher here in Montgomery, Texas, in Montgomery County. Oh, those are all good. Yeah. So she was out of a job, but if you go to my YouTube channel, you can actually see the video on there. And I mean, it's horrific. The lady, it's on my YouTube channel. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're good. Kids are kids.
Yeah, she's mad at her sister.
That's okay.
So if you go down, it's actually, I think, the first video that I ever put out.
This one, CPS finding of abusive counseling.
Yeah, so the 30-minute one, if you look, you can actually see.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So that video is just horrific.
Video is 9,000 views. You see that? Oh, be patient. We'll go to this video real quick.
You could just kind of probably go to like minute 4 or 5. That might be it right there. You can see the lady, she just drags him around. At one point, she picks him up and throws him down. His body at some point looks lifeless. Oh, it's probably a little bit more ahead. Yeah, it's a little bit more ahead. There's some point his body looks kind of lifeless. I think it's right there. Okay, yeah. You can. So he was picking some tape and she got up and dragged him around. There's a point where she picks him up and throws him down. There's a point where his body looks lifeless and she doesn't stop. She was never charged. CPS found no findings of abuse. Oh, this is when the teacher finally comes in and he tries to defend himself and she hits him. You see, she hit him.
Yeah.
But in that, again, charges were never filed and CPS put no findings of abuse. That story should have made national news and it did not make national news.
And this just happened March 24th?
So it happened, it was actually a year ago, but
Okay.
it was not published until this year. And in the near future, everybody's going to find out why it did not make national news and why charges weren't filed. Yeah. I'll let you tell your community before I publish it.
No, that's fine.
It's one of the things I'm behind on. But yeah, it's there's a lot of corruption and there's a lot of just injustices in general. And I think for me, seeing things on so many, like being able to see things in different aspects, as a survivor, as a parent, as a professional, it's just disgusting. People are just so disgusting, and the world as a whole, we need to educate ourselves and just because there's a person that is an elected official, just because you have an agency that is supposed to be helping, everything looks good on paper. But it doesn't mean that things are not happening behind closed doors.
Well, and you had your own dealings with CPS in your own personal life as well, and that was after this here too. And after the video, I will link it in the description box, and you guys can watch the video of her own personal dealings. There is articles that she also has written. I just don't want to go there with what's going on. And yeah,
I've been investigated probably about at least a dozen times, if not probably closer to 24 times in the past year.
Wow.
And actually a CPS worker threatened to have my kids removed because I didn't answer a phone call. And I've been cleared of abuse. I've never been charged with abuse or neglect. And I mean, come on, I have 4 kids. Like, I have a 21-year-old daughter. I have 2 younger kids. A lot of it is retaliation, and you know, speaking up against. I don't think it's hard to do your job. Like, you have a job, you know what you're supposed to do. Just do your job, and then everything will be fine. And
Well,
if you don't want to,
it's one
go
thing
ahead.
doing your job. It's another thing saying that you can't do your job because there's not enough of the people to help because there's such a big problem. But obviously, they've stated that there's not a big problem if they want to sit there and bother you now. So since they want to sit there and bother you now, obviously they have nothing else to do, right? In the CPS system. If they're
Yes.
sitting there bothering you.
So after the Fox 26 interview, and let me see if I can.
I got it. It's here. It's on your.
No, I'm actually. Well, I'll send it to you later. So, probably within the week of the Fox interview, I was standing outside one day. I was doing something with the water hose, and I looked up, and there's a car coming this way, goes and parks here by my neighbors, and then another car parks on the other side, and they're just sitting in there. And it freaked me out because obviously what's going on, the article there, what's happening and stuff. And they just sat there, and then they get out of their cars, and it was 2 CPS workers in 2 different vehicles coming to harass me on the 4th investigation in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And obviously the funds that are being used for that are obviously coming from our tax dollars, and people should be upset about that. I mean, you have families that are in need.
But let's do this though. It's
Mhm.
not every single one of them. So
Every single one of what?
There is good CPS workers that are out there that do good work. It's
Oh,
not all of them.
absolutely.
There-
It's
there-
not every CPS worker.
Yeah.
No, there are CPS workers, and I am a witness to that, because there was a CPS worker that I dealt with on a personal level, and the experience was completely different. When I spoke to somebody from the state, all the way in Austin, I had the conversation about honesty, and you guys know that there's a problem, and instead of saying this system is broken, we have an issue and we don't know what to do, you try to cover it up. You tell people that everything's okay, and it's not. And again, going back to what I said in the beginning, until people recognize and acknowledge that there's a problem, nothing's ever going to change.
Well, it's just like just like every cop's not a bad cop. There's good cops. There's bad cops. There's cops that do their job. And there's cops that are lackadaisical, I would say, and just push stuff to get off their plate. And you experienced that as well. And that's part of the problem too. And in the CPS organization, they have people that maybe they have tons of caseloads and they just push stuff off. I mean, but then maybe they should look at a different career path and to do something else, because like they're can't change what you don't recognize. Yeah. And maybe I don't know, I guess with the way that the workforce is and stuff out there is, I guess it's hard to find good humans to, and someone else is doing something wrong. Yeah. CPS is supposed to be a failsafe for our kids. Unfortunately, our system needs to be revamped badly. And it's not just it's everywhere in the US.
Oh yeah. Since I published the first article about CPS, and this was even before the Fox interview, I had so many people reach out to me, and I still haven't been able to to get back and put these stories out. There was a lady in Georgia, a blind lady, her daughter was taken and put in the care of a registered sex offender. Um, a father, a grieving father, he lost his wife, and he was grieving. I mean, what happens when people grieve? We go through depression, right? We go through anger, like that's normal. And his 4 children were removed from him, instead of the agency coming in and saying, like, we're going to see how we can help this father that just lost his wife. No, they took his kids. And I have just there's another lady I met, I think she's out of Missouri, and she's going through a wrongful death lawsuit right now. Her daughter was killed in CPS care last year. It's just the system itself is it's just it's sad. It's sad. And again, people need to know about it. People, like, victims have to learn to advocate for themselves. And just because like, just because a victim says, well, this didn't happen, if the evidence is there, like, don't just brush it off.
So, I mean, you had to do it in your own case. I mean, when you guys are looking through here, this right here, she wrote this article because she wasn't getting any coverage by her own media in her own city, and had to write an article about her own daughter. And that's disappointing and concerning at the same time. If you didn't have 1,124 followers here, 7,000 followers over here, a whole website, you have another 9.6 thousand followers here. If you didn't have all of this stuff, your own daughter, nothing would have ever changed. You had to make enough noise for something to change. You were on your own, and now you kind of see, for people, that's kind of what's put you kind of where you are now, is in your views towards advocacy and helping others. The hard part about all of this is just like me as being a creator, there's so many missing people out there. There's so many kids that are being done wrong. Harmony Montgomery, for an example, in the system. And how do you wrap your head around it, and how do you prioritize in order to make sure that, okay, this one is important because we can save the life of somebody that's in danger right now. And there's just so many of them. And I saw on your video here, there's 56 some comments on your article that you wrote, and it's sad.
Yeah,
I guess is a easy way to put it.
And it's unfortunate. No family should feel like their child or their story doesn't matter. And anybody that does, I just want you to know, like, that's not. Oh yeah, Gabriel Fernandez. Oh my God, that documentary, that whole case was horrific. But going back, no child and no person should feel like their story or their situation is worthless.
It's like lesser or greater than somebody else's. And
Yeah.
we're seeing that that's why I brought up like the mainstream media, because right now the focus is all over in California right now, while you have families and people suffering all over the country everywhere. And we're focusing on one little thing. And it's just weird how the media goes in clusters, and trending stuff is trending and other stuff that doesn't mean as much. Um, I covered that 12-year-old girl where her family was murdered by the boyfriend or whatever in Alabama, or I think it was Alabama. Um, and it was like 3 days. There was a press conference in 3 days, and like I put out the case, and I haven't heard anything since. I mean, you have a little child, I think she was 12 or 14, that escaped, and today it was because she did escape. And where is she now? What is she doing? And I'm don't know if she's in other families' custody now, or if she's in the state's custody. I don't know, and we'll probably never know. And stories get forgotten about. People going through tragedies get forgotten about really quickly in what's going
Yes.
on in today's society, and it's kind of sad.
Yes, and it shouldn't be that way.
No,
It's not like, okay, this is the new trend, and then you have the next trend that comes, a week later, like, oh, it died down. It, yeah, it shouldn't be that way.
that's why I think there was a Tatiana Luke, I think, was one mother that got onto social media and started doing on Facebook, started doing her own lives, raising awareness for her own child, because she couldn't. And I think that one was in Texas as well. And
Hmm.
the raising her own awareness, which worked way better than the big, huge media. And I see more and more families doing the same thing, because it's hard to get the actual media to go and do something. So a lot of these people turn to social media in order to get themselves heard.
Yeah. And sometimes, I tell families it doesn't matter how the news gets out there as long as it's getting out there. Because in reality, some people, can have a better outcome than the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And it probably will get out there quicker too.
Yeah.
So, but I have to get off here because
Yep.
my children are getting a little antsy now.
A handful. I want to thank you for coming. And I encourage everybody here to go take a look, follow her. And she does a lot of good out here in this world. And if you have any questions, she always has comments over here. And as I always say, you can say your last words. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow me if I can be of service to anybody, I'm more than happy to. I am more focused. I mean, I do journalism and advocacy as much as possible, but I am a drug counselor, and I do that full time. So I do my best to get back to people and to help people as much as possible. Um, but if thank you. If you are in a situation, or you are struggling, you're not alone, and um, keep advocating for yourself. Self advocacy is so important. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, she wants to get on now. Okay.
Okay.
Say hello.
Hi. Hi.
Jennifer's mommy. You're Victoria? Yeah, this is Victoria. Okay, now here comes the other one. She wants to say hi too.
Hi.
This is Esmeralda. Yeah, we have to be quiet, okay? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Go.
All right. We
So
can
yeah,
we can get off of here. She does have a family and does have a lot of stuff that she does on her own. And we just need to keep that in mind, but she's willing to help anybody. And if you see something, say something. Thank you guys for being here and supporting. Hit the thumbs up and go follow Jenifer, okay?
yes. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you again. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, goodbye.
All right. Bye. Thank you guys.